Hello again, and welcome back. This is part one of a two-part series where I craft a weapon and use it to create a character. So my first step in this process was to do a very quick sketch of the weapon itself. I went on Pinterest and found some old kind of fantasy pistols and shotguns, some sci-fi stuff as well. Brought those into PureRef and jumped into Clip Studio Paint. This is super rough and I'm just jumping through it just to get an idea for some shapes and what sort of practical elements I want to include. I knew that I wanted a gun that had some kind of scythe or sickle on it because I drew heavy inspiration from the bird known as the sicklebill, which is a tropical bird of paradise with a really uniquely shaped bill. I thought that it would make a really great name for a shotgun. So yeah, I'm just drawing here, figuring out where everything's gonna go. I also had the idea of making this so that the handle part was on a latch so that it could function as both a scythe and a shotgun, and you can flick back and forth between wielding it with one hand like a scythe and then two hands like a shotgun. Then I jumped into cutting up some cardboard and grabbing some broom handles as a base template. Then it was a matter of going through and cutting up some foam, which originally I was going to make the entire gun out of foam. But I later switched to wood for the base, just because I wanted it to be a little bit sturdier, as I was going to be screwing moving parts, like this latch that you see here. I also wrapped a handle in some leather, and then I took it outside and dremeled all of the edges and beveled the scythe to give it more of a realistic sharp edge. As you can see in this image. Then I took it back home and Mod Podged it all to seal in the foam and make it easier to paint, as well as add just like a tiny bit of sturdiness to particularly the blade part because it was quite fragile. Didn't think to reinforce this at the time, but if I was to remake that, I would. Then I went through and added some details using some bits of plastic, like bottle lids, and then cut out some foam to make more details. Then it was a matter of taking it into the garage and spray painting it, just to give it a nice base coat. I used a really nice matte black prime paint, which also seals in and helps to hide some of the shit from the hot glue. I would have made this with contact cement, but I was trying to make this on a real budget and not really buy anything. Then I took it back inside and painted some details with acrylic paint and also some rub and buff for the gunmetal and the blade. Then I wanted to add some gore and some realistic blood, so I layered up a bunch of different warm and cool blood tones and then got some tissue paper and I put it in black acrylic paint, and then I kind of flicked it and stuck it to the blade itself just to give it some chunky gore as well. And I think this actually really worked effectively to add some nice detail to the blade. So this is where I was at after my initial detail pass and initial paint pass. Still not really anything that special or pretty, but it functions, and considering I'm going to be using it as reference, it's not really that important, but it was fun to make and it's fun to have and it's fun to hold. So this is the process of me taking some reference photos, which were very embarrassing, but my girlfriend was a really great sport in this regard and very patient. So I'm just cutting out some of the things and getting a feel for the foreshortening because I wanted to make the image really dynamic. It's something that I've struggled with and not something I'm really familiar with, so I wanted to get some really good reference. I'm not especially good at foreshortening. It's one of those things that I still really need to practice. I also decided to put it in black and white and boost the contrast so I could have more of a reference for the values. And then I jumped over into Clip Studio Paint to begin the sketching and thumbnail process. I also went on to, I think it's called Pose My Art or something, and tried to replicate the pose that I'd created as best as possible and used that as reference as well. Then I just started sketching, starting in blue, and then later I add some red just to distinguish some of the details, but I will eventually make all of this in grayscale. I also decided to plan out some of the background, but I go back ahead and do this properly a little bit later. Then I just did like a super quick loose sketch just to get a feel for where I want some of the details to go. Still very, very open-ended and not really thinking about anything too hard, as this will only ever actually be the thumbnail sketch and will ultimately be refined into a full sketch in the next video. I then decided just to bring the guns into the image itself because it saves time, and also I made the guns, so why not actually just feature it and I can go ahead and add painted on details and stuff afterwards. Then it was a matter of just blocking in some of the light and dark. Still very loose and open at this point, not really worried about anything. This is really more of just a super quick sketch just to give myself an idea and also give you guys an idea of what's to come next. I did spend probably a little bit too much time on this thumbnail, but I don't know, I was kind of tossing between whether or not I wanted to just jump straight into the full sketch. I'm very new to this kind of splash art thumbnailing and the dynamic posing, but I want to make my images a little bit more engaging and not so stagnant and anatomical as I normally do. It really is a learning process, so if you have any tips or tricks or advice as an artist or a content creator, please let me know, because I am actually really open to any advice that I can get to make my drawing and art skills better, as well as my YouTube videos. Normally I would be writing a script for a video like this, but I'm actually recording this completely ad-lib, so if this sounds a little silly, don't hold it against me. But I really wanted to keep this whole process really open and just kind of give you guys an insight into my thought process. So I thought, what better way to do that than just to discuss it as it's happening. Then I went back and added in a little bit more of a indication as to where I want some props and set pieces to go in the background. Still very, very open. And I added really subtle lighting. I think I want to do like a cyberpunk neon city alleyway. I found a really cool reference image on Pinterest that I might use as a base point. But yeah, so that's part one, and sorry that it's taken so long, but as you can probably guess, it was quite an extensive process, and I will come back with part two where I refine the sketch and we'll make it into a full-fledged digital splash art style painting. Thank you again for watching, and I really appreciate all of the new subscribers and viewers to my channel. Let me know if you like this kind of content and I will keep making it, or if you'd prefer me to jump into some other kind of project. I'd also be really happy to do like a full craft video as well, making some unique weapons and all that sweet jazz. Anyhow, I'm going to stop rambling and leave you guys to it, but have a great day and I will see you all in the next installment. Bye.